Good afternoon, everyone. So it's a pleasure to be here today. First of all, I want to say thank you very much to the DeKalb Chamber for hosting this event. We very much appreciate our partnership and appreciate this event. Let's give the DeKalb Chamber a round of applause. And to our sponsors, we greatly appreciate you as well. And thank you for your contribution and your support and advocacy on behalf of this community and of our school district, et cetera. Also want to recognize, I know they were recognized earlier, but my board members are here. Dr. Melvin Johnson, chairman of the board. Let's have him stand to be recognized, please. Mr. Marshall Orson, member of the board as well. Let's have him stand to be recognized. And Miss Vicki Turner, member of the board. Let's have her stand to be recognized. Thank you so much. Those are the ones who could be here today. We're going to go ahead and get started and get into the mix of it here. My goal here to do is to share with you where we've been, where we are, and where we're going with regard to DeKalb County School District. Let me see, make sure I get this working right. Let me just start with this picture right here. We began the school year at our convocation, and the theme was every little step, and I came in. I'm not going to, y'all have to go see the video. I know I've had some requests already to go into my groove here, but Bobby Brown, every little step, but y'all gonna have to go see the video for that. But we began with the theme of every step matters. It was an all rise, like a judge in a courtroom. When a judge comes in, the clerk says all rise, and it's not like rise if you feel like it, rise if you think. Everybody rises because the expectation is there to rise, and we want that in our classrooms. We want that in our schoolhouse. All rise, all students rise to the occasion of the instruction and the rigor and the opportunity to be career, college, and military ready. But along the way, we talk about steps of progress. We talk about making sometimes baby steps and sometimes strides and sometimes giant leaps. And what you're going to see today are some of those various kinds of things. In some cases, we made incremental gains, baby steps. In some cases, we've made big steps. In other cases, we've made giant leaps. But we want to celebrate and recognize every step forward because every step matters. And so whether it's one student who maybe just increases 1 point on the Career and College Readiness Index, or another student who jumps up 20 points, we want to celebrate that. We want to acknowledge that, and we want to encourage more of that. So this little guy right here, he might be taking baby steps right now, but that could be one of our students, and we think that student could be taking strides and quantum leaps in the future. So every step matters. One of the first big steps we took last year, it was working on accreditation for a year, and we were successful in accomplishing that. In 2016, they told us that we were accredited for a year, but right after they told us that, they said, now you're coming up on your 5-year renewal. And that took a lot of work and a lot of effort, and my administrative team is here, and I want them all to stand. All the DeKalb County administrative team, they all made this happen. They all made this happen. Stand on up, Monterey, stand on up. Rise up. Thank you. Rise up. So we rose to the occasion. And we got a certificate of accreditation, not just for a year. I want you to see the small print. I'll put it up here at the top. But we're good till 2022. We're good to 2022. Takes a lot of pressure off of everybody, because when you don't have that accreditation, those of you in real estate, those of you in businesses, that's all, you can now say, well, let me take you on a tour of a fully accredited school district, DeKalb County School District, accredited for 5 years. And I know it's a burden when we don't have that, and people are throwing it in your face. So we have addressed that, and I think it all gives us all, from the board room to the classroom, some breathing room, so to speak. I felt the pressure when I came here that we didn't have it just yet. We didn't have full accreditation just yet, and that put a lot of pressure on staff, put a lot of pressure on board and the community, and rightfully so, till we get that back. But we're not I said then when we got it for the 1 year, we're not giving it back. Now we've extended on top of that. Let me just share with you another thing that is important to our work here. We have no misgivings about what our core business is. Our core business is teaching and learning. And so therefore, we're not susceptible anymore, if we ever have been in the past, of being kind of pulled in different directions away from what our core business is. We're about deep teaching and learning, and we're about this system right here is the system that is in play right now as we speak. We have a curriculum, we know what is taught. We have the instruction on how we teach it. We have diverse learners that have certain needs, and we got federal programs to help those students with those needs. We have other federal programs to help us work with students and diverse learners, et cetera, ELL, special ed, et cetera. We get federal dollars for that. We have a professional learning, a dynamic professional learning model that helps teachers, staff, administrators stay on point and on target with the best practices that are out there. And then we have an accountability system comprised of assessment at varying levels that allows us to measure whether this is working or not, and to come out with some of the quantitative data that I'm going to share with you, that it is indeed working and we are seeing progress. So we've built a system that we've put in place, and we're going to keep that system current and strong and powerful so that it can continue to work in this area of helping our students have better outcomes, because you imagine a student at the center of this. This is the district, but it's 102,000 students right there, 14,000 staff right there working on behalf of that with the board supporting it. So when we talk about deep teaching and learning, I'm just going to go into a little bit of it, but this is what we've built into our curriculum. We have a board-approved curriculum, at least for the first part of it, right now with this kind of deep teaching and learning and these kinds of activities that prepare students to be career and college ready. Critical thinking and problem solving. Students have to come out ready to do that and do it in creative ways and be very astute in their process of doing that. Self-directed learning. We want them, maybe they come to us trying to learn how to learn, but we also want them to leave us knowing how to teach themselves and how to seek knowledge rather than be given knowledge. Creativity and innovation, collaboration, this is critical. Those of you in the business area, you know that this is critical to success, probably more critical than any other variable. It's the ability to collaborate, the ability to communicate, the ability to work with others. And then the academic mindset. So we've built this into our deep teaching and learning model. It's in our curriculum, board-approved curriculum in math, science, English, social studies, and part of the CTAE. And under the leadership of Dr. Lisa Martin, who's right here, Ms. Stacy Stepney is here as well. Under leadership, please stand. Let's give her a round of applause. She has labored intensely. She has a team, and they have been working with our teachers, and this is a unique situation. Unique situation, not in DeKalb, not only in the state, but unique in the country. This is a curriculum that is built by our teachers for our students. I want to say that again. It's built and designed and developed by our teachers for our students. And so when we have professional learning and the teachers who are training the other teachers on this curriculum, it's done by the teachers who wrote it. The architects are actually, so it's embedded in DeKalb. It's going to be deeply embedded in DeKalb. And long after any of us are not here, the teachers who are here, they're going to hold on to that curriculum because they poured their heart and soul into it. And when you teach differently and you do professional learning differently, if you help write what it is, you actually poured your heart and soul into it, and you're going to tell somebody, teach another colleague, peer-to-peer. The Gates Millennium Study says that peer-to-peer training is the most powerful training that happens. Not top-down, not me doing it, not coming out of C&I, but I'm being trained by one of my colleagues who works on the front lines with me. That's the most powerful kind of professional development that's out there. We are doing that. And we're going to come around in April of 2018 to complete the process of curriculum development with the elective courses and the rest of the career and college readiness courses to complete the cycle, so DeKalb will have a fully adopted, board-approved curriculum that it's implementing. That was one of the biggest concerns we had coming in. We made significant progress in this area, and we're going to continue that progress, and please support us in it. So we want to look at outcomes. We are about accountability. I had that accountability piece up there. We're about outcomes. What are the results? Are we starting to see results from the system that we have in place, the curriculum that we have in place? And we just started. We just started really a year ago putting this system in place and getting it full traction. We're already starting to see signs. And we're looking at our rate of growth in our elementary, middle, and high schools. Again, you can see the note down here, the DeKalb's rate of growth in student proficiency. This is on CCRPI. That rate of growth, if we continue at this rate and continue the momentum, we will meet the state level and surpass, if we continue about 2 to 3 years, the progress that we're seeing in elementary and middle and high school, our rate of growth, not that our actual level, not yet, We're looking at our pacing, our rate of growth, exceeding the state's growth in high school, exceeding the state in middle school. If we continue, and we're building on that momentum, the two trains leave the station, one leaves a little bit earlier. This is my good friend Jeffrey Canada. He talks about that in the Harlem Children's Zone. If you don't do something, if they're staggered and they leave at different times, there's a gap there. And if you don't intervene and do something, that gap will be there at the end. But if you intervene and somehow this train is kind of slightly behind, gets an extra boost or gets some kind of intervention, it starts to catch up and surpass over time. And that's what we're looking at very closely, because the whole system is built on continuous improvement. We're going to increase our rate of improvement and getting better and better. So you can see the data point here. DeKalb continues to demonstrate high academic growth outpacing student growth across the state. That's based on growth and rate of progress. That's a good math problem too in terms of rate of change in mathematics. Same way with college and career readiness. Here we are 2013, our rate of growth. Here we are in 2014, 2015, and 2016, and 17 is coming out very, very soon. And I can't, it's probably embargoed and all that other kind of stuff, isn't it, Dr. Phillips? Can't talk about it. But we've seen early indicators, and we know that we're going to be in very good stead with our CCRPI coming out. Also, I want to take a look at our high schools. These are more steps along the way, more steps of progress. I think in all but 3 of these, you'll see a trajectory. This is, what is this? 9th grade literature and composition. 64%, 70%, 78%, 66%, 72%, 77%, 57%, 59%, 62%. We took a dip here. I think there was a couple of others we took a dip. But as you can see in composition, in 9th grade, American Lit, our high schools are doing extremely well. And that is evidenced in our graduation rate. Here you look at the graphic here. Here's where we were in 15. Every little step. Here we were in 16. Every little step. Here we are in 17. 74%. And that continued pace. I think you just do the math. The state grew about 1%, went from 79 to about 80%. Here's our rate of growth. We're catching them. And we're going to keep on catching them. You can see highlighted some of the schools and what they did. In some cases, double-digit growth. But what I will tell you is that every high school except 2, we have 25 high schools, every one except 2 made positive gains. Everyone except 2 made positive gains, and even those were close. And so here are highlighted some of the double-digit gains that you see here, and significant gains in Miller Grove, McNair, Lakeside, Dunwoody, Clarkston, Cedar Grove. Those schools are just being highlighted, but every school except 2 made significant gains. And when we look at the data here, and I just want to kind of explain this map here, because this looks at our students in terms of their performance at different grade levels. And this is the beginning level, this is the developing level, this is the proficient level, this is distinguished, top of the line. What we want to see, if you're talking about uplift, if you're talking about moving upward, what we want to see is reduction in these 2 categories, beginning and developing, and increase in these 2 categories over time, proficient and distinguished. Here's the trend from 16 to 17, just looking at the spring scores. Notice a reduction here, from 38 to 36. Notice reduction here, 35 to 30. Where do you think these students go? They go up here. So we want to see increases. 3% increase here, 2% increase about there. We want to see that kind of continual progress and continual growth and uplift. That's ELA 4th grade, right after they're from learning to read to reading to learn. Let's look at 8th grade. Same kind of trend. We want to see reduction here in the beginning level. We want to get them out of that. This is what our strategic attack plan is all about. We call it SAT, a strategic attack plan. We dive down deeply and we're lifting from the bottom and pushing up, and all boats rise when you do that. So we can see the uplift here. Those students that were down here going up here. Those students that were here going up there. Those students are here going up there. And you can see the trend across lines. Same way in ninth grade, lit and comp. Reduction here, looking over there, increase here, increase there. This is how we're tracking. This is the system that's in place with Illuminate, with MAP, the MAP, NWA MAP that we put in place. We now have, and if you imagine every single student, we're having a track and a means of monitoring every single student in that same way. I don't want to get too much into the details here, but this is a glimpse and a snapshot of how we're working systemically. And we're very intentional about what it means, and we're devoting the resources, both human capital, rushing resources, human capital, and financial, to develop this push so that it shows up over here, and we're looking year after year after year. These are the indicators, the kind of stethoscope, if you will, on the heartbeat of the school district that we want to keep track of. Also, though, when we look at the kinds of lists, we got all kinds of lists out there that the state has, the chronically failing list, you know, what used to be the OSD and all that, but we're making progress. We want to make more progress, but we made, again, steps in the right direction, removing 5 schools from the priority list, focus on priority list, moving 7 schools from the chronically failing, and we're going to remove more of them as we progress and as we continue that strategic attack approach. Because those schools that are struggling, in the name of equity, we are devoting the most resources to not only support the students and the staff, but their families. The dock on wheels out there that you just saw, that's all about wraparound. That's all about, we call it our circle of care, a hug, if you will, around not only the student and the school, but the family. It's a hug, and it's support, and everything that a hug does to build confidence, to build hope. But it's also very strategic and very intentional. And it includes financial resources and human capital resources that we're devoting to help our schools that are having the most challenges, and we'll talk about that later on. Also want to talk about our fiscal responsibility. Our fund balance at the end of the year, this past year, $127 million. It was $90 when I first came. In the course of that, though, and you tell me another district that has done this, not only did it give raises to teachers, 2.25, just started at 2 points, in mid-year raises to teachers and staff, increased the Standard and Moody's to AA rating. Thanks, Dr. Bell. Let's give him a round of applause. Where's he at? Him and his team. And roll back the millage rate. Roll back the millage rate, increase the fund balance, give raises to teachers mid-year and at the end of the year. Tell me another district that's doing that, and then with a $127 million fund balance. Not one. We continue with full transparency to execute and implement. You can see it happening. Whoop, I touched the screen. What'd I do? He said I couldn't touch it, and I touched it. Oh, the flowers. Can you reboot me? We'll talk about SPLOS, the $561 million in SPLOS, and we're being, with full transparency, we are here to say to you that we have been transparent in that process. We made due on our promise. We asked the community to vote before we had a project list because we were trying to dodge the election and all the craziness was going on there. So we went earlier than we've ever gone. In May of 2016, we called 24th of 2016, I remember the day, May 24th, 2016, we asked you to go ahead and vote. We could only bring it down to 10,000 feet, but not specific because we didn't have enough time for community engagement. And we asked you to vote for us, and you voted for us to the tune of 71%, the highest approval rating for SPLOS that's been in the history of SPLOS in DeKalb County. And we thank you, and we see that as a vote of confidence and trust in us. And we will continue in that vein. I don't know where I'm on my slides right now, but we'll talk a little about where we are with regard to CTAE. And I've got my chart right here, so I think I got it right here. I got notes on this. One of the things I want to talk about, because this is a group I think is very astute on career and college readiness, and I want to just share with you some of the data points that are critical and how we work with business leaders. And we're going to continue and expand and strengthen our work with business leaders going forward. We have 3,800 students or more a year that come through our career, technology, agricultural, and education pipeline. I want to say that again. 3,800 students coming out of our career, technology, agricultural, and education pipeline ready to work. They come through several industries that I'm going to talk about. To get my screen up here. They come through several industries. I'm just going to go through some of them right here. We have 17 career clusters. Let me just name a few of them off for you right now. Agriculture, food, and nutritional resources, architecture and construction, arts, AV and communications, business management and administration, education and training, energy, finance, government and public administration, health science, hospitality and tourism, human services, information technology, law, public safety, corrections and security, manufacturing and marketing, and STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and transportation, distribution, and logistics. Those are the areas. They're coming out, and we have thousands more in the pipeline. In fact, the graphic up here will show you what's in the pipeline coming through. They're coming out, ready to take the test, ready to be hired. I got a question. Are you ready to hire them? Are you ready to hire them? Because they're coming out, and they're going somewhere. And we talk about brain drain in Georgia and brain drain in our community, but we need to get a connection where you are actually recruiting, just like colleges do when they're coming in to get our students. We ought to have the recruiters lined up right now, ready to get our students, because they're coming out ready. And we're adding some others to the pipeline. Fire prevention, the police and criminal justice system, we're adding others. Computer coding, huge. I just went to a workshop the other day. They're telling us that, and there's an organization called Code for the Future. Just like you have a language immersion in Spanish and a language immersion in French and Mandarin Chinese, there are language immersion schools, but they're coding schools, because that's like learning another language. Learning computer science is another language in elementary school. And the demand for the CIA is so great, they're pulling kids out of high school to actually come work for the FBI and CIA because of security risk. Talk about security risk, breaches, and all that kind of, they need folks ready. And so they're pulling them out of high school, coming straight out of coding classes that high schools are offering. And it's been upgraded to a high security measure for this country. Oh, got me back up here with SPLOS? Oh, there it is. So here we are, and we're making due on this promise. I want to go back, and then I want to talk about where we are with technology. Oh, let me get this slide in here very quick. We have an event every year, but it's not all about the event. My brother's keeper, our sister's keeper is really targeted addressing this issue in this area of disproportionality. That means, and I'll just tell you what that means. Disproportionality means that we have disproportionate numbers of students who are not in certain classes like AP, IB, STEM, and we have disproportionate overrepresentation, suspensions, expulsions, etc. We are seeking to reverse that, and we have made great strides in reversing that. Fewer students being suspended, fewer students being expelled through a restorative justice practice and a restorative, making sure that there are alternative pathways to keep kids in school and being educated by us, for us, and then shift over here, pulling more students into AP, pulling more students into IB, pulling more students into STEM. Some of those same students that were over here, we're putting over here, so we're reversing that. And so we ask you to continue to support us in our efforts as we continue to look at our own data. We see the disproportionality, we're attacking that disproportionality, and we're reversing that trend that takes kids out of the pipeline to prison and puts them on the pathway to career and college readiness. And it culminates, the work culminates in this event, but the event is not the thing. It's all the work that's going on before the event takes place, that we're constantly, and that is a standing agenda item every Monday morning meeting in cabinet. What are we making? How are we making progress? What's the latest report on our efforts to address disproportionality in our school district? And that also includes our exceptional ed students as well, and ELL students. And let me talk a little bit about Digital Dreamers, because Gary Brantley would not forgive me if I didn't talk about where we are. Let's give Gary Brantley a round of applause. He's our CIO. He and I got together when I first got here, and I said I had one-to-one where I was. I want one-to-one here. He said, I'm on the same page with you. We got board members who are here. They're on the same page. They support 100%. So we are moving swiftly on a 2-year timeline, really almost halfway there, on our Digital Dreamers initiative, we call it. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. But we are connecting our kids to the internet, not just in the four walls of the classroom, but outside when they go home, when they go with their friends, when they go on vacation. They will have connectivity. How many Chromebooks? 74. Let me hear that again. 74,000 Chromebooks to our children that they can take home. Every teacher having one. Every staff member having a Chromebook that they can take home. Our curriculum is uploaded into that Chromebook so they can work on the tasks that we need. We're going to gain time. Remember I talked about when other people are sleeping and you're going, that's when you gain time. I'm an old athlete, so when they say, you know what, if you're practicing and your opponent's not, you just got an edge. And so we will have that available. And then with the partnership with Sprint, we close the digital divide because our students who have the greatest need get hotspots and can take them home, and no matter where they go, they got a connection. So we are proud of this initiative. It's just rolling out. Gary and his team are leading us in that effort. It's powerful. And we will not let up till every child has their own device and is able to take it home and do the kind of work that we know the 21st century, and now they're coming up on the 22nd century, they need to know and be able to do in order to be successful. I mentioned this earlier. There's and just to talk a little, we talked about the different industries. That's what I talked about in the 17 career clusters. But here's how they perform. I know if I was a business leader, I would want this kid in my firm. 91%, no, you said our overall graduation is 74.4, but these kids are 91.5, way over the state, and their placement rate is 97.9. And here's some more about that, the different, even with our military, we have a good representation there. So I talked to you a little bit earlier about Wraparound Services. This is just an example of Farrington Elementary School. Farrington, Snapfinger, the other schools are going to be a part of the Kids Doc on Wheels. Here's Kids Doc on Wheels right here, healthcare. Now, some people would argue, well, that's outside of the, what's that got to do with, some people just, we got to help them. We got to help them get it. Because they'll say, why are you spending money? I hear it. I go to certain places in the community. Why are you wasting money on social services? What's that got to do with K-12 education? You're wasting money. You should put more money here, not there, because that's outside. No, we, with the help, as you can see, with partnerships, like you just saw this morning when we did the ribbon cutting, we have Kids Doc on Wheels, and we know that a healthy child is a child that's better to perform on the kind of data that you just saw. If their blood pressure is being monitored, if dental care is needed, and so on, if eye glasses are needed, etc., we know that a healthy child, and not only just a healthy child, if the family is sick, guess what? The child is sick. And we've seen, all of us have seen, things just like EMTs see on emergency scene, the kinds of things where kids are coming in and they're hurting. They won't tell you all the time by talking to you, where you can see it in their eyes, you can hear it in their voice. They're hurting. And they need a hug. They need a hug. They need help. So our reach goes beyond the four walls of the classroom, well beyond the four. This is just Farrington. So we got Kids Doc on Wheels. I can't see all this right here. We got the parental support. Where's Commissioner? Where's he at? Where's Commissioner Turner? Commissioner Turner, you see this down here, don't you? You see down there, Kappa Alpha Psi, Fraternity Community Partners? Yo. But also we got Atlanta Food Bank. Food. We got families who need food. Health, food, mentorship, after-school care. We converge on the child. This is Farrington's model. Snapfinger's going to have a different one. It's going to have different needs. So it'll be the same categories, but different partners, different service providers. So we're serious about this wraparound services. When we say circle of care, we're talking about a living, breathing emblem and implementation. So we're going to live up to our commitment here for our children. We're going to devote resources from the district to this. We're also going to call on partners to help us do this. So, as I conclude my remarks, every little step counts. Every little step counts, and no step is too small. We want giant leaps. We want to see those giant steps, leaps and bounds. But sometimes it starts with this before you can do the giant leaps and bounds. Together, when we talk about building a stronger DeKalb, a stronger community, we are right there with you as the community partners, strengthening ourselves so we can be stronger for you as partners. And we hope and we know that you're doing the things to be stronger with us. And as Katarina said, we are better, stronger together. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.